Okay, folks, buckle up. Today on the Mysteria Archive, we delve into Project Pegasus. Did the US government invent time travel way back in the 1970s? What if time travel isn't just possible, but has already happened? What if the US government has been using it since the 1970s, not just to explore history, but to control it? And what if future presidents weren't chosen by voters, but by a machine? This is a story of Project Pegasus, a secret DARPA initiative buried in government archives, whispered about in conspiracy circles, and backed by some of the strangest testimony you'll ever hear. Wild theory? Maybe. But once you hear the details, you might not be so sure. So, we might have been time traveling since the 1970s. Now that would explain a lot. Okay, let's dive in. What is Project Pegasus? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, and maybe that's the point. According to Andrew Basiago, a lawyer, whistleblower, and former child participant, this was a classified DARPA program operating in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Its mission? Not just teleportation, not just time travel, but full-blown real-time access to past and future events using exotic technology. The claim is that Pegasus aimed to give the US a strategic edge, not through weapons or spies, but through temporal intelligence. Imagine being able to view the past, scout future threats, or even send operatives through time. Basiago says this wasn't theoretical. The program, allegedly backed by data from Nikola Tesla's confiscated papers, built functional devices that could do exactly that. He wasn't the only one. Others involved described the project as tapping into quantum access technologies like the Chronovisor, a device said to let users view different points in time. And Pegasus wasn't alone. Some researchers claim it was connected to other secret projects like Montauk and Stargate, which explored psychic warfare and interdimensional portals. Together, they suggest a network of covert experimentation most of us have never heard about. According to Basiago, the US government didn't just want to observe the past, they wanted to interact with it. Okay, so just to clarify, we're not talking about some guy who watched Back to the Future one too many times. Basiago genuinely claims the US government had a functioning time travel program in the 1970s. Now, while most of us were figuring out rotary phones, they were allegedly zipping through time like it was an afternoon commute. And hey, if they had access to Tesla's secret files, that alone is worth a movie deal, or at least a really intense Reddit thread. Now, buckle up, because Andrew Basiago's personal story takes this from weird to wait what? The whistleblower. Who is Andrew Basiago? Meet Andrew Basiago. Today he's a practicing attorney, but in his younger years he claims he was something very different, a time traveler working for the US government. According to Basiago, his involvement in Project Pegasus began when he was just 7 years old. Recruited alongside other children, he says he participated in a series of highly classified teleportation and time travel experiments. Why children? He claims kids adapted better to psychological stress of jumping through time. Adults just couldn't handle it. Their minds cracked. Kids, apparently a little more bendy. Basiago says he traveled both forwards and backwards in time, sometimes observing, sometimes interacting. His stories include visits to historical events, and even briefings on future events the government wanted monitored or controlled. The tech used? Allegedly based on Tesla's lost papers, which were seized after his death and tucked away for national security. Now, here's where things get even stranger. Some participants, Basiago claims, had their memories erased or altered so they wouldn't remember their missions. A sort of temporal Men in Black treatment. He suggests many more people may have participated in time travel without ever knowing it. Yes, these claims are controversial. Some say he's delusional, others a disinformation agent. But what keeps his story alive is the level of detail, dates, locations, even names of personnel involved. He didn't just say, "I traveled in time," he built an entire bizarre resume around it. And once we dig into the tech he says made it all possible, the rabbit hole only gets deeper. I mean, if I had $1 for every time someone told me they were a 7-year-old government time agent, I'd have exactly $1. But still, it's a strong start. Honestly, part of me wants to laugh and part of me thinks, what if? After all, the government's done way weirder stuff in the name of national security, looking at you, MKUltra. And if memory wipes were involved, who's to say we didn't take a field trip to 1863 and just forgot? The technology, how did it work? And let's start with the weirdest photo you've never heard of. It's black and white, taken in 1863 at Gettysburg during President Lincoln's speech. In the crowd, there's a boy. He doesn't quite fit. He's wearing an oversized coat, no shoes, and seems completely out of place. Not just for the fashion, but for the moment. The boy looks dazed, alone. Andrew Basiago says that boy is him. He claims Project Pegasus sent him back in time to Gettysburg using a device developed by DARPA based on stolen Tesla technology, and that he accidentally wandered into that famous photo. Not a Photoshop job, not a prank, a literal piece of photographic evidence of government time travel, hiding in plain sight. So, how could this actually work? The Chronovisor, viewing time itself. The Chronovisor is said to be a device originally theorized by Father Pellegrino Ernetti, an Italian priest and physicist, and later refined using Tesla's confiscated notes. It didn't send people through time. Instead, it let users observe past and future events, like watching a movie, supposedly using electromagnetic signatures left imprinted on the fabric of space-time. Think of it like Google Street View, but for time. Basiago claims the government used it to spy on the past and test possible futures. Some suggest they use this tech to choose the best outcomes. Jump rooms, traveling through space and time. Then there are jump rooms, allegedly located in secret installations like El Segundo, California, or underneath certain military bases. These were literal teleportation chambers. Basiago, along with another whistleblower, William Stillings, says they use these rooms not only to move through time, but through space. Yes, space. As in Mars. He claims Project Pegasus was a stepping stone for the later Mars jump room program, which involved teleporting US personnel to off-world colonies. How? Supposedly through quantum entanglement, resonance-based tech, and, you guessed it, Tesla's field manipulation theories. Tesla's legacy and other scientific ties. Tesla's papers, according to law, were seized after his death in 1943 by the US Office of Alien Property. Some say they were later funneled into DARPA and classified black projects. Within these documents were rumored schematics for manipulating time through electromagnetism and rotating fields. Other scientists often tied into the legend include Enrico Fermi, Albert Einstein, and organizations like SRI International, all names with deep roots in frontier physics and classified research. Project Montauk and the Greater Web. Project Montauk, another alleged black project, is said to have involved similar time travel and mind control experiments, along with interdimensional portals. Some suggest it and Pegasus were two arms of the same monster. Which begs the question, if even a fraction of this is true, what else was this tech used for? Surveillance, time corrections, strategic assassinations? And here's where things get especially strange, because one of the people allegedly chosen using this tech would later become president. Okay, let's recap. A time-viewing machine developed by a Catholic priest, Tesla's secret blueprints, teleportation rooms to Mars, and a Gettysburg photobomb. Yeah, that is a lot. But here's the thing. Government black projects have done weirder stuff. MKUltra, psychic spying, LSD testing on civilians, all real. So, if Pegasus sounds insane, well, maybe that's what makes it plausible. And let's be honest, if there was a machine that could actually see the future, we'd definitely use it for politics, or at least to avoid making another Cats movie. Now, let's talk about the presidents. The presidential connection. Andrew Basiago's claims don't end with time travel. According to him, the US government used Project Pegasus to identify future presidents. That's right, decades before they ran for office. He specifically names Barack Obama, then known as Barry Soetoro, as a fellow participant in the Jump Room program. This claim comes from a fringe body of conspiracy theory lore that circulated online since the early 2000s, particularly in interviews and forums tied to whistleblower communities. It has never been verified, but it's one of the most widely discussed narratives in this subculture. Basiago alleges that both he and Obama were part of a secret grooming initiative where young individuals with future potential were trained and exposed to time travel tech. How did they know who to pick? Well, supposedly by using the Chronovisor to preview possible futures. If someone was destined to become president, the government would know and possibly prepare them. According to Basiago, this was about more than leadership, it was about controlling leadership, making sure the person in charge was part of the system, that they understood the rules of reality behind the curtain. Now, just to be crystal clear, Barack Obama has denied all of this. There is no evidence, no records, no acknowledgements of any kind. But if there was a program capable of viewing future timelines, could they have used it to steer history? Could the best timeline be selected like a favourite episode from a streaming queue? And if that's the case, who's watching the screen? Look, I'm not saying the US government picked presidents using a time machine, but if they did, it would explain a lot. Like why every election feels like a season finale we didn't ask for. And while Basiago's story is wild, the idea of leaders being groomed decades in advance, honestly, not the weirdest thing I've heard. Big institutions plan for the long game all the time. Military academies, think tanks, even sports programs scout talent early, so why not DARPA? Still, it's a bold claim, and the only thing harder than proving it is disproving it. Next up, what if this tech didn't just influence politics, but reality itself? Time travel, Mandela effects, and glitches. There's a strange idea floating through the internet, and you've probably felt it yourself, that something is off. Like how you swear the Monopoly Man had a monocle, or that Nelson Mandela died in prison, or that Berenstain Bears was spelled with an EI. Welcome to the Mandela Effect. Mass false memories shared by millions. But what if these aren't just brain glitches, but reality glitches? Andrew Basiago and others suggest that time travel experiments like Project Pegasus may have fractured the timeline, creating splintered realities that bled into our own. These are the echoes of decisions made or unmade by people who were never supposed to be there. Here's the kicker. Some accounts claim Pegasus agents were instructed not to interfere with the past, just observe, like time tourists. But some of the missions did alter events, intentionally or not. And if time really is non-linear, more like a tangle of spaghetti than a straight line, then even a small bump in the past could send ripples across history. Shifting events, rewriting memories, rebooting reality without anyone noticing until now. Is the Mandela Effect a collective misremembering, or the residual fingerprints of someone messing with history? And if someone has been editing the timeline, the question isn't just how, it's why. Okay, full honesty, I still think C-3PO was all gold, and Dolly, Jaws' girlfriend in Moonraker, definitely had braces. That one broke me. But this theory, that reality glitches are the side effects of time travel gone wrong, is kind of genius. Like, of course something would go wrong when humans mess with the space-time continuum. We can barely handle microwave popcorn. Still, if someone has been tampering with history, I hope they fix gas prices next. Coming up, what if the whole thing wasn't real, but was made to look like it was? Disinformation or hidden truth? Now here's where it gets complicated. If Andrew Basiago is lying, why go to such extreme lengths? Names, dates, military bases, supposed photos, even running for president on a platform to expose time travel. Some argue Basiago is a fantasist, a man who genuinely believes a fabricated memory. Others suggest he's a disinformation agent, someone planted to bury real programs beneath an avalanche of outrageous claims. There's a term for this: strategic discrediting. You release the truth in a wrapper so absurd no one believes it. It becomes self-censoring. Imagine if Project Pegasus did happen and someone did talk. How would you cover it up? Easy. Leak it through someone who sounds unbelievable. Make it so weird, so fringe, so sci-fi that people laugh instead of listen. But what if Basiago is telling the truth and the world just moved on? What if we've buried these secrets under decades of ridicule and denial? If true, it also raises a darker possibility. What if these programs didn't end? They just went deeper underground. Basiago may be crazy, or he may be trying to warn us. Either way, his story keeps dragging people down a rabbit hole that doesn't seem to have a bottom, and maybe that's the point. Let's be real. If I wanted to hide a real time travel program, I'd absolutely leak it through a guy who says he went to Mars with Obama. That's not denial, that's a firewall. But seriously, the idea of strategic discrediting, well, that's smart. It's like hiding your secret source in a clown costume, and nobody questions it. They just laugh and move on. Still, part of me hopes this is all a massive prank by Basiago, because if it's not, we've got way bigger problems than misremembering cartoon bears. Let's bring this all together. What if it's all true? So, let's step back. What if Project Pegasus was real? What if in the early 1970s, the US government cracked the code of time travel just enough to peek behind the curtain of history? What if it didn't stop there? What if presidents were groomed in secret, not elected? What if children were sent across time only to have their memories erased? What if the Mandela Effect is evidence of timelines edited like a Google Doc? It sounds insane, and maybe it is, but if history has taught us anything, it's this: governments do weird stuff when nobody's looking. From mind control experiments to psychic spying to cloning sheep named Dolly, we're already living in a sci-fi novel. And in the age of AI, quantum computing and black budget tech, who's to say this didn't evolve into something even stranger? Maybe we're not in the original timeline. Maybe we're in the 3rd, or the 7th, or the 42nd. Maybe Basiago's warning wasn't about the past, but the future. And if that's the case, we have to ask, are we the ones being observed now? Or worse, edited? Let me know what you think in the comments. Was Project Pegasus just a bizarre internet myth, or a real glimpse into the machinery behind history? And if you feel any deja vu during this video, just blame DARPA. All right, full circle. We started with time travel and ended with questioning reality itself. Classic Tuesday. Look, maybe Project Pegasus was real, maybe it wasn't. Maybe we already watched this video in a slightly different timeline and just forgot. All I know is this: if someone is editing history, I'd like to submit a few suggestions. 1. Bring back Blockbuster. 2. Fix the McRib rollout. And 3. Make time machines less glitchy, yeah? Thanks for watching, and remember, if the timeline starts acting weird, just roll with it. Or at least check your fridge to see if Kit Kats still have the hyphen. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Please drop your new video ideas in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. It's free, and it really helps out our small channel. Okay, friends, until next time, stay curious.